Jensen didn't want these augments, forced upon him by his corporate overlords under the guise of saving him, only to use him as a pawn for their games of war. Jensen rejects all the equipment they bolted to his frame, but more importantly, Jensen is wearing women's jeans and cannot put anything in them or use his inventory. In the bowels of Detroit, the web of interconnected missions start. Of course we play on the hardest difficulty possible. Give me Deus Ex. But the super soldier Adam Jensen can be defeated by super soakers. We cannot use our augments, which means no fancy takedowns, no hacking. Also, we'll complete every side objective and mission wherever possible to push this challenge to its limits. This was 50 hours of pain, suffering and boxing.
Hey, you alright?
We have an enigma wrapped up in a conspiracy to uncover. Let's go. The attack on Sarif HQ goes rather poorly. A crew of clandestine criminals have crawled into the labs and are using all of our co-workers as lead delivery receptacles. And with our protein-based protagonist also falling to a single shotgun volley, stealth is the best option. We've no way to drop the gun we're carrying for now, but we'll just not use it. After a short stint sneaking past the guards, Jensen, as we knew him, dies. A death of blunt force trauma and a lead lobotomy. But this is not the end. He will be rebuilt, from bone to steel, from neurons to processors, and from eyes to glass. A machine will be born, and this machine is tuned to destroy and break any who stand in his way. But the ghost is still in the machine, and Jensen refuses his gifts. None of the abilities granted us will be used on this journey through the web of conspiracies about to unfold. Our first task is to get back in the saddle and meet up with Pritchard to fix our eyes. Then through to Sarif for our first proper engagement. Apparently, there's a spot of bother going down in Milwaukee. One that our particular set of skills is the only thing to fix. A terrorist who hates augmented people has taken over, and it's our job to neutralise him. The objective here is to reclaim the Typhoon and stop the one-eyed Mexican from having a standoff. And, maybe, if we have time, stop the bomb from exploding over our old co-workers. First things first, dump the revolver. And it's a fairly simple procedure of sneaking around the outside of the building to enter the front door without anyone noticing. Then again, skirt the outsides of the warehouse and use a box to access the ventilation system. Now we come up against the first potential issue. Looking back at the rules, are stated no hacking. But this door has a keypad we need to get through. So are we stuck? Is that it already? No, because even though things might appear to need to be hacked, every single keypad and computer does have a password, even if it's not stated anywhere in the game. So, all I need to do is go and look it up on the wiki. Sorry, this one was accidentally left on a post-it note next to the terminal. In the next room there's yet another convenient vent for us to exploit. This one just so happens to lead all the way to the bomb. Fortunately, the code is obviously 1505. Which makes sense as it's evidently a reference to the discovery of Bermuda and therefore the Bermuda Triangle. And that's what an anti-augment terrorist would use to be the code for their homemade gas bomb. The evidence is right there, it's self-evident. The conspiracies are layering deep already. After reassuring people that
Where's the bomb squad?
after resolving their imminent explosion,
Where's the bomb squad?
post decommission of the boombox,
Where's the bomb squad?
shut up! I am the bomb squad! Well, let's rewind that a bit. Sorry, old habits die hard. Continuing to trundle through the facility, we come across this naughty chap, who's apparently hacking the mainframe.
Hacker Man. He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
Then, after a touch of argy-bargy, decides to hack some grey matter across the computer console. Let's unplug his USB cables and, to stop any other party seeing his body, let's hide it under this box. No one will see him here. He's safe within the sanctity of a cardboard box, and it's on to try and find the big cheese himself. There are two chaps here who, when witnessing the majesty of a box whizzing by their mugs, both have a gander, giving us a gap to slide into this office into yet another vent. All we have to do now is get to the stairs, and that proves moderately challenging. But the final strap we used was to pick up another box, stand in this corner and release it, like a bird sailing over the top of our ragamuffin assailants. This makes them all look at the clattering pile of computer parts we just lobbed, letting us crouch walk through to the stairs. Now we have our first dialogue boss fight. Zeke Sanders has taken a hostage, Josie, the wife of...
Where's the bomb squad?
From earlier. We need her to be alive as it opens up a short quest later. And we can't exactly use a tranquilizer, so we've got to talk him down. After informing him that he's going to be a dead man walking if he keeps the prisoner, he leaves, knowing that he owes us one. He's also rather miffed that the hacker on his team was augmented because, well, he dislikes metalheads. And that's the second mission complete. Now after getting raked over the coals by Sari for letting our anti-augment friend go...
Sanders, what the hell were you thinking? Letting him slip away like that?
We have a few side missions to complete. The following missions are all available to take now, so we may as well figure out what we can. Starting with the simplest, returning the favour of saving Greg, Bomb Squad Thorpe's lady friend, we're introduced to a chap called Surratt, who now gives us a discount on buying weapons. Marvellous. Paging Adam Jensen, your next quest is here. And this, well, it's a bit of a doozy. You see, this chap has been embezzling neuropozyne, the Sarif-created drug that prevents augmentation rejection, but he's been roped into it via blackmail, and he's asking us if we can help out. Fair enough. First port of call is sneak into Tyndall's apartment. The code to get in is 8974, which just so happens to be his dad's birthday, which we found out at an office party gone wrong a couple of years ago after a couple too many. We want to sneak in to get the footage of him stealing the drug that was used as blackmail and get out. His PC contains nothing of any importance at all. Unfortunately, a gentleman looking for his next fix from his dealer arrives, so, after testing some solutions... turns out he's mildly blind and lets us crab walk past him. Now, let's have a chat with Tyndall himself. So, it turns out he's only partly embezzling stuff from the company. He's actually just giving the drug away. But because of that, a couple of pushers are none too happy with his philanthropic endeavours. So to get the chap off the leash, can we neutralise PG and BK? That's this pair of chaps stood in the basketball court with assault rifles. I sense an issue trundling towards us at great speed. Normally, you can walk up to them and knock out the pair without any issue. Or we can dome one and shank the second. Maybe use that typhoon thingy that we nabbed in the last mission to erase the problem. But no, we don't have that luxury, so what can we do? So far we've had 0 ways to inflict any sort of damage. Well, there is one thing we can do. This game has a physics system. Any object you can pick up in front of your face like this adheres to it. However, by throwing, let's say, a barrel at these guys, it does a tiny bit of damage. And this is going to be our primary damage delivery service for the rest of the game. Unfortunately, they'll not take it lying down and immediately open fire, leading to... But after some testing, the way the AI works in this game is interesting. Every enemy has a roam radius of sorts, where even if they see you past it, they won't move towards you. We can abuse this by throwing a barrel, then running off and hiding, waiting for their hostility to fade, then running back and popping them again with another metallic storage cylinder. And yes, this is just as tedious as it looks. In fact, after setting up our trebuchet station of barrel-based buffoonery, the blokes beyond the basketball court took 8 deliveries to the dome, each. It actually took much longer than you'd expect because I spent a lot of time figuring out if the effects of gravity cause more damage, and no, it appears to not make any difference. Ish. The only affecting factor is speed, and you throw a barrel faster than its terminal velocity, meaning the closer you are, the better. So now we've cracked a couple of skulls, we can return to Tyndall, let him know what a naughty boy he is, and polish off another side quest. Our reward? A gun upgrade that can go right here. Up on the docket is Motherly Ties. Our apparently dead ex-girlfriend, Megan Reed, has died in suspicious circumstances, and her mum doesn't believe the fake news. So, by donning a tinfoil hat, it's time for us to investigate. On the mean streets of Detroit, anything can happen. A woman has met her maker, but there's more to the story. A corrupt cop with a password to match has been burying evidence. A PI days from retirement wants out on the case, and a back alley dead drop has all the info. Autopsy reports, and info on the assassins. It's a grim fairy tale, but the whole case stinks. There's more here than meets the eye, but for now, we can give a reminder of Megan's life to a grieving mother. It's case closed and unresolved. Right, that's enough of that nonsense. Up next is some Cloak and Dagger. I knew she was trouble. The broad looked over and summoned me. An undercover cop had a derringer hidden between the fold of her handbag. That's enough, Rando. Stop getting high on your own supply. Jenny's sending us off on a job. Corruption is afoot. An Irishman who's never visited the Emerald Isle is trying to start a turf war. She needs us to pose as a hitman and get all the evidence we can and take it back to her. It's quite complex, and this is separated into 5 different sections. 1. Talk to O'Malley. 2. Pick up the murder weapon. 3. Get into DRB territory and confirm they have a weapons cache from O'Malley. O'Malley the alley cat. 4. Break into O'Malley's apartment and dig up some dirt. And 5. Knock out the guy called Double T and take out his henchman. Talking to O'Malley in an alleyway is easy. No problems there. Getting into DRB territory without being spotted? Piece of cake. No issues. Checking out the weapons cache is self-explanatory. Breaking into O'Malley's flat? Elementary. The code for the front door is 1077. Obviously a reference to the police code meaning estimated time of arrival. Once inside, there's a pocket secretary hidden in a bookshelf, and that'll give us access to the next room. In here, creep through and check out the government issues weapon case. Obviously, some of the wares he's selling. Might as well check out his PC. And what would a turncoat Rosa have as a password, I wonder? Well, maybe that's a little too on the nose, but I'm down. Next up, we have the 2 most difficult objectives. Firstly, there's the case of Double T and his goons. In this apartment block, they hold the 4th floor. There are 6 people in total. We need to take them all out. Fortunately, we can utilise our plethora of barrel-based ballistics from earlier. And after a short delivery session, we're prepped and ready to go. So, after half an hour of lobbing barrels at blokes with submachine guns, it's just Double T left. And that's it. We can't do anything. The problem with barrels is that it kills the enemies rather than knocking them out. And with our only way of doing damage being physics objects, we're up a particular creek without a paddle. Closing in on an hour wasted. Well, there is another way to knock people out. If you have this augmentation, you can punch through walls. Doing this kills the Wi-Fi warrior immediately behind the wall, but more importantly, it knocks our man Double T out cold as he's a little further away. So that gets us halfway there, but how can we break down this wall without the break wall augment? The only thing we have that can deal damage is the barrels, and I don't suppose it'd damage a wall, would it? Well, would you, Adam and Eve it? And with that, it's time to begin our blunt force trauma-based blitz on the hoodlum's position. Result. There's only one thing that's left. Grab the murder weapon and return to our pal Jenny. Except, this is not classed as a quest item. It's just a crossbow. A regular crossbow that sits in our regular inventory. You don't actually need to return the item to her to get the mission complete, but you do need to pick it up at some point. I can pick it up and instantly drop it, and there's definitely some legalese loopholes in the rules that allow it. I mean, am I really using any items if I pick it up and instantly drop it? So after going back to Jenny and showing our findings, not saying anything about the crossbow, we have a choice. We can let Jenny take him down to the station, or we can arrest him, and considering our predicament, the term arrest is doing a lot of heavy lifting. This is also where it's worth mentioning any object we pick up that doesn't have a health bar, like this, is completely impervious to gunfire, and we can use it as a riot shield, then bludgeon our opposition with it as soon as they stoop down to reload. So, this mission is completed, with an asterisk. Technically, we could have boxed O'Malley back behind the police station. That does end the mission, but that's more like a failure over anything else. And this completion, where I need to pick up and drop the crossbow, it can be wrangled as technically allowed, but I don't like it. For now, it's back to the main story. Our augmentation-obsessed gaffer has asked us to check out the limb clinic. To guess what? unlock more augments. After a checkup with the surprise doctor that we don't need the neuropazine that they tried to sell us, and there's an attempt to bolt on more tactical equipment we didn't ask for. Don't worry, that detail isn't important for the story at all.
Yeah, I just spoke to Vera Markovic. You aren't getting any Praxis kits installed?
All you said to do was see the doctor. I did that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just surprised you didn't take advantage of the account I set up for you.
No, David, I never asked for this. You won't sway me. I don't need your Meccano monstrosities. Thank you very much. We need to turn our attention to the police station. Wayne Haas, a cop with a past, relegated to desk duty. I need to try and sweet-talk him. Oi! I said enough! Knock it off! So Wayne is now a man of a mildly nervous disposition, but after bigging him up, he'll let us in.
Thanks. The door's unlocked. I'll tell the guys to let you through.
We need to get to the morgue. Apparently, the very obviously augmented hacker, this one had no augments, which is most definitely a big fat conspiracy fib. I mean, what's this? A single dreadlock badly welded to his head. So we need to espionage our way in and take his clockwork noggin so we can find the info that's on it. And with Wayne letting us through, it's fairly easy to waltz about the place. The only thing that can trip you up is this little bit with the laser grid. It's flaky and flashes on and off. Dip through when the bottom bit is turned off and the camera is pointing elsewhere, and you can stroll right through into the morgue and pretend to be an important government fella. Grab the grey matter and slink back to Jensen's digs to upload the data. Turns out that Pritchard is rubbish at being a blue teamer and has allowed an uplink directly into Sarif HQ for months. Brilliant. And his incompetence now means we need to go back to Derelict Row and shut off an antenna. But before that, we're summoned to a meeting with an old friend.
Or maybe I figured I'd send a snake to kill a snake. Take or leave it, pendejo. Either way, my debt is paid.
Okay, consider the favour repaid. Now back in Derelict Row, follow the same path back to the weapons cache. Traipse through the area. The only issue comes up a little bit later with these mines. Initially, I thought they worked like the mines in Abe's Odyssey, where they're inactive whilst the light isn't on. But no, that's stupid. You just need to walk really slowly. Not by tapping the move button, but by pressing caps lock, crouching and walking towards them. Then you can press the action button to disarm them. Then you can easily traverse the 2010-era waist-high wall maze and dodge being spotted. We do need to hack the antenna, but luckily the code is on the hand of the nearby jobber. Don't believe me? Enhance. Enhancer. Enhancist. See? Told you so. Now there's a spot of bother down at Highland Park. And, oof, the enigmas are going to start racking up. Malik takes us on a chopper ride over.
This is B-Quad. Arriving shortly at LZ.
It appears the chaps that attacked Sarif HQ are here, and they mention the Dutchman. I wonder if he's of the flying variety. There's a conveniently unguarded path around the outside, and we can move this box to let us hop up and take the high ground, letting us inside the facility proper. Getting down the elevator's a bit of a pain, but when all the other chaps in reds are picking their nose, we can run down the slope, dip past the camera and get in. The lengthy elevator ride confirms this is a large place, and now they have these giant spider robots to contend with. Keep an eye on the minimap, and when they look away, slide into this maintenance area. Up the ladder and onto the gantry. So after definitely not being visible here whilst hiding behind a box, we can trundle downstairs and meet up with Barrett. So this is where the director's cut starts to come into play. You see, in the original, there's a lot less you can do for each of the boss fights, and there was very little provision for stealth builds. That is not the case here, so we should be fine. Oh wait, we still can't hack anything. One thing I've neglected to mention, when you hack a computer that looks like this, with the green background, that's a security terminal. It lets you do things like open and close doors, turn off CCTV cameras, and set turret robots off that will shoot enemies. And as we can look up the wiki for any password in the game, find the passwords in a conveniently close location in the game, you'd expect this to be a cinch. However, even if you have the password, you do need the augment to be able to do anything but turn off cameras and occasionally open doors. Brilliant. So in the words of Sandy Peterson, this will be barrels of fun. Open said doors to restock on red barrels designed to ignite on impact with people when there aren't any left in the main room. Barrett may look mean, but as soon as you break his line of sight, he just wanders around aimlessly, throwing his toys out of the pram. Unfortunately, this overgrown toddler's idea of a rattle is in fact many grenades. But he goes down fairly quickly. He does try to give us a fat man surprise, but again, this is rather ineffective.
Tell him Barrett sent you straight to hell!
So after getting picked up again by our trusty pilot Malik, we can head to Detroit. We have some loose ends to tie up before heading elsewhere. Prickjard has some info for us. Something's not right with Sarif's cover story in regards to the transmitter we had to shut down. It looks like it was his fault as to why the back door was left open. I mean, was he raised in a barn? Still, after getting the info and grilling Sarif about it, all we get is a mild lore dump. Regardless, all of the side quests and main story quests here in Detroit are complete. Now we go to China. Hengsha is calling, and we have a lot of work to do here. A bunch of main missions and a good chunk of side missions have now opened up for us. Hengsha, seemingly the city of two halves. An upper-crust city of technological excellence, and an undercity that uses papyrus on adverts. But now, on with the first main mission. Remember the Dutchman? Well, we have to find him. His apartment is under some sort of investigation, and is swarming with fellas looking to use Jensen's bottom as a coat rack. But of course, there's a rather swift way to slide past the patrolling Rozzers. Air duct to the rescue. After exiting the elevator, we have a couple of chaps that are blocking the path, and after some mildly arcadey stealth action, we can dupe the guards. Once inside his swanky penthouse flat, we can creep around and get access to his computer. His username is Windmill, rather cliché for a Dutchman. What will his password be, I wonder? Tulips, bag of grass, red lights, earless, that one time at the Bulldog we don't talk about. No, nothing works. I wonder. Hi Carol, I'll have a consonant.
B.
Yeah, another consonant.
R.
And a consonant.
N.
Just another consonant.
And G.
I'll take a consonant.
And C.
I'm feeling short of consonants. I'll take another.
H.
Another consonant, please.
R.
I think I need a consonant here.
M.
And after reading his IRC chat logs, it looks like he had something to do in the Hive nightclub. The place for scum and villainy. Sounds like a Friday night out to forget. We need to get inside. Now I could try to explore around and find the pass, but however, I have all this money sat there, so yeah, let's just pay the bouncer off and mingle with the drunkards. There are plenty of shady looking harvester chaps milling about, most of them looking like clones of Vin Diesel from Pitch Black. After chatting to the barman, apparently I might have to look upstairs to find Tong, the man who can help us find the Dutchman. One conversation later with the non-Tong Tong, who turns out to have a silver tongue, and Tong lets us know that he's in fact Tong. Confused? Yeah, so am I. Let's follow the little yellow symbol and turn my brain off. We now need to go to the Alice Garden Pods, a capsule hotel of dubious quality. And after a short impromptu meeting with said Dutchman, he lets us know how to get into the next area we need to. We'll need to bring him a personnel pass from Tai Yong Medical. And the only way that we can find one is by nicking it from a chap whilst he's preoccupied by a bit of strumpet. But before we do that, we have some side missions to cover. Starting off with some good old-fashioned Shanghai justice. After leaving the capsule hotel of despair, we run into Malik. Previously, she let slip that she had lived here, and it turns out that her best mate died in suspicious circumstances. No, I'm not going to subject you to that again. Evelyn's dead, and she had a boyfriend. Apparently she fell off the roof, but Malik had her doubts, so let's investigate. There's a secret contact whose name is, and you're not going to believe me, Anonymous X. And there's a password we need to remember.
But he'll only respond to a certain phrase. Death and life have their determined appointments. To which he'll reply, riches and honors depend upon heaven.
Christ, Malik, this is starting to sound like something out of a bad spy movie.
Jensen almost shatters the fourth wall with cringe.
Death and life have their determined appointments.
What? Oh, and Riches and honors depend upon heaven. Very good.
Right, what now?
Regardless, after handing over the autopsy, Anonymous X tries to extort us for cash, which is an interesting choice considering we already have the manila folder.
A little piece of advice. When attempting to extort money from someone, don't give them what they want before trying to rip them off.
What?
So, let's go and investigate Lee's place. A bat. That's a bad omen. A clock. Cross-referencing this with the time of death. A match. He has a PC. Let's check it out. And his username is masterplayer69.poonhound_thedaddy.nft-grindset.sigmamail #blazeit_vapenation_alphadog. How hard can it be to guess this fella's password? I know the sort of fella he is. I wonder. Well, yes. So it turns out his family will disown him if he keeps sleeping around, and they have what can only be described as giraffe money. And it looks like shortly after this, his girlfriend showed up and informed him that she's pregnant. Yeah, you can see how this travesty happened, especially with his father's connection to Bell Tower and Lim. Let's go and pretend to blackmail the chap. And after posing as someone looking for money, we get a recorded confession. But what's this? Malik needs us to jump around and hack some stuff? Fair enough. Fortunately, the passcode is written in crayon on the toilet door nearby. And after that, Malik decides, oh dear, that's a tad drastic. Remind me not to get on her bad side. Now we have to pick up the bar tab. Bobby needs some help convincing a client to pay her bills, and possibly act as bailiff. It's now a case of climbing up some towers and using code from the wiki, conveniently left in chalk nearby, and then making a beeline to her location. But after chatting to the lass, she lets us know that the harvesters are also asking for a percentage of her earnings. That seems mildly unfair. Let's have another chat with Bobby and see what it'll take to leave her alone.
I want to know what it's gonna take for you to leave her alone for good.
You give me a year's worth of payments and she's free.
5,000 credits? Blimey! You should be glad I'm not allowed to use shops through arbitrary rules, Bobby, or else I wouldn't pay you this. Another side mission down, and last up for now is this rotten business. Mei Su reckons that one of her girls has gone missing to have augments added to her frame to help with business. Lovely. So firstly, we need to bust her out. And the way to do that? Did you think that it's to run up to the fellas, stock up on all the bins we can find, and repeatedly lob them at them for half an hour? Because, well, that's what needs to happen. And after that, opening the storage container with the code found on one of the chap's bodies, we can let Mei know that Ning is safe, to which she now suggests we take out Prime Pimp of the Diamond Clan. But we have to make it look like an accident. I sense a bit of an issue, but I'm sure getting biffed repeatedly with bins and boxes is an accident, right? Right?
Must reload!
There was a complication. Chan is dead. They'll know it was murder.
That is most unfortunate. But I am still grateful.
Still, not the best result, but our boxing streak continues. Whilst we're here, we can nab that pass we needed for the Dutchman whilst this pair are talking about how great their meeting was. And after heading back to him, oh no, the garden pods are being attacked. The hacker asks us for a weapon, but not only are we not carrying a spare, we're not carrying at all. Let's just hope he can sleep out of dodge. I now need to get out, but the place is swarmed with all sorts of chaps intent on using Jensen as a lead repository. The main area is fairly simple to sneak through. It only starts to get a little trickier when you reach the locker rooms. On their sweep through, they've set up frag mines that will explode and will kill us. Fantastic. And in the following room, there's water on the floor with electricity running through it. Now, if anyone's been paying attention, you may have noticed that one of the batteries is empty on the HUD. This usually happens when Jensen uses some of his augmented abilities. This would mean that I have in fact cheated, and this run is a lie. Except, not quite. It also turns out that your batteries get drained when you step on electrified flooring, which is something that happened back in Detroit. We can use the 2 nearby boxes to bridge over the top of the electricity, because that's definitely how that would work. And after this is the laundry room. Maybe the trickiest room in this complex. It's hard to find a straight shot to sneak through, but this is the line I ended up taking. And from here it's pretty easy to get out. Now we just need to head to the Taeyong medical shuttle and be on our way. We have a whole bunch of sneaking trundling towards us at great speed. But first, this hunk wannabe's having an oxygen deprivation problem. No matter, we can walk through, unlock the door using the code that was... hang on. Babe?
Yeah?
What nonsense can I say as to where this code came from?
Written on the glass in lipstick.
Written on the glass in lipstick. Then, after tugging on the valve, we can head through, and he gives us a bit of a hint. We can get past Kim if we mention him. Sweet! Now we can bring a glorious piece of portable cover with us and head down. All we have to do is avoid these lasers, the multiple cameras, the myriad of augmented androids, and we should be good. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. But you can follow the black-clad bloke around the block and just nip up behind him when he swerves to look towards you. Like this. After heading up via some Tetris block arrangements, we can enter the Pangu. Most of the people here will ignore us, assuming that Jensen belongs. Yeah, he fits right in amongst these doctors, scientists and army men. We can't be let into the main facility as we need a level 5 PAN card, and we don't have one. Fortunately, there is one in this room. The security room, and the ways to get there are numerous. However, our way of getting there was interesting to say the least. You see, normally, if we tried to hack this keypad, we instantly get spotted and domed with a large shotgun. Not ideal. But if we already know the code, because we have the list bookmarked on the wiki, overheard someone say it.
What, mate? Did you know the code for this door is 4157? Don't tell anyone.
We can just waltz in. Well, waltz in and instantly hide somewhere because it alerts the chap directly behind us that thinks it's fishier than a man who crouches like this is waddling into a private area. Then nab the pass next to the spare helmets and walk through the checkpoint. Up some stairs is the data core, which is where we need to be. However, again, there's yet another checkpoint, and this time we can't get through. Laser grids are all over the place, and Jensen has never learned how to crawl. We can't even dip under them. But what we can do instead is wait for one of the sentinels to walk nearby to deactivate it, and slip in behind him. Then head through behind enemy lines towards the data core when the coast is clear. I hope you like a bit of Mission Improbable, because it's laser dodging time. And there are a couple of boxes. Let's bring them along, just in case. They are my comfort blanket. I do love a bit of box. Speaking of box, it's cutscene time. Namir and this lady are having a bit of a tiz after we grab the data we need. Something to do in Montreal is mentioned. Guess where we'll be going next? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a bit of stealth up ahead. Firstly, by nipping into this office, we can turn the cameras off. Launch a box at the bruiser nearby, run through the offices, and quickly enter the passcode to head into the next section. What? I never said we had to be stealthy. Just with how squishy we are, it's usually the best option. Now it's time for a meeting with Zhao. After asking about Megan, Jensen lets his second smaller brain get in the way and simp for the Fortune 500 CEO.
Surely you can protect me. Surely. Surely you can protect me. Men never fail to underestimate women.
Well, Jensen, that's what you deserve. Now, out of the frying pan and into the fire. This room's about to be swarmed with many operatives, armed to the teeth with anti-bloke armaments. We don't have anything with us, and I don't particularly want to replay a whole section to get a box to take them all out one by one. So instead, let's, say it with me now, go through the vent. And from here we can crouch walk our way past everyone to hit the elevator. The end's close, we just need to get to the hangar to get out. It just so happens to be inhabited by a pair of large box robots. They have turrets, And rocket launchers. We have nothing. I mean, there are some boxes in the room, but that doesn't seem to do anything to them. We'll just die. There's heavy arms here as well, taunting us. It seems hopeless, unless...
In the red corner, weighing in at £5,026, it's the 80X Box Guards. In the blue corner, carrying a crate and weighing in at £220, it's Jensen. Considering Jensen's at a major reach disadvantage, how will he overcome this challenge? Let's get ready to rumble!
Fight!
Remember me saying that physics items without a durability rating are invincible? Well, this is what it lets us do. But does the box even do any damage? It doesn't really look like it. But we might as well just keep going and see what happens. After 127 throws, we take it down. Yes, I did count them all. And Live Rando had it best. I feel like I need some sort of if it bleeds we can kill it kind of quote, but it's more if it sparks we can shut it off. Yeah!
Activate self-destruct sequence.
No! Oh god, no! Yep, let's take up the Queensberry rules one more time. And now let's box the other bot's face in. So after a combined 4 failures, 351 total box blows to the 2 bots, we can let Malik in, and now it's off to Montreal. We need to go to Picus Communications to find the newsreader Eliza Kassan. This would be a cinch. It's just a newsreader and some busybodies, right? We need to scale up through the tower and reach room 404. Very funny. I see your punny ways. But there's no one here. It's a ghost town, no newsreaders, researchers, or anything. But inside this door, Eliza is waiting for us. Plot occurs. She is in fact quite odd and mildly intangible. We discover some more malarkey in regards to the Sarif attack, and some business with the missing Megan. But now, instead of being a big empty building, the place is about to be crawling with a battalion of blockheads looking to use our buns as an ammo storage device. Fortunately, however, there are plenty of vents to let us get back upstairs to push through the facility. And after heading through the medley of men, we can head upstairs via the lift. The warrens at Picus Communications are vast, their paths winding, but still, some large rooms with many pursuers are the trickiest. But you can get through with some perseverance and head through to the funicular. A cable car's waiting for us, but what makes it more of a pain than you might initially think is that it's surrounded by sentries. We need to press the button to summon it, and the button alerts all of them. Wait for it to arrive, and then get on board, all whilst having the constitution of a small child who lives off grey ham and the green wobbly stuff at the bottom of the fridge. This could be a problem, but if you sneak down the side of the room, head under the stairs and get to the security terminal here, Mr. Ricard has left his password under the keyboard and we can turn off the cameras. And we get a Texas greeting and die. Brilliant. One thing to note that hasn't come up before, when you're using any of the keypads or computers, time doesn't stop. So we need to do this quickly. Once the camera's disabled, we need to find the right time to hop over, press the button and hide. As you can see, they all swarm to the funicular. After it's finally arrived, we can emerge from our hidey hole. All those chaps with stealth suits can go funicular themselves as we try to hop over to avoid getting shot and smash the button to head down the tower. And when we emerge, cameras, lasers and a couple of assault rifle salesmen. Fun. But more importantly, a box. And several of them. They will become very useful later. When the 2 chaps walk past, disable the laser grid, bring our cubic compadre along for the ride. This next room is cruel and unusual. It took quite a long time to get through. Even worse, you need to double through it more than once and bring boxes along for the ride. And if we're seen, not only do all the bell tower employees shoot at us, but turn invisible and summon a bunch of patrol bots to search for us too. So ghosting our way through is the only option. Ghosting our way through whilst carrying a crate the size of your mum. But after an hour and a half, this is the strat to get through. First, bring your regular hexahedron upstairs, and either by using it for cover or when the coast is clear, head into this office. Whilst in there, be wary of the balaclava bro through the window. He can turn to see you. Then lob the D6 over the top towards the door. Now head to the opposite side of the office, climb these stairs. Now when you've got a straight shot, head through the corridor into the armoury, grab a second box, and then launch it from the top of the stairs towards the next door we need to go through. Wait for all the patrol paths and the camera to line up correctly, and bring the rectangular prisms into this stairwell. Turn off the mines, and we're off to the races. Then after turning the camera off, we can gradually push the 2 boxes down the corridor whilst letting the heavy stroll past, clueless to our cubic base skullduggery. And finally, we get to the next room. But if we attempt to open the door, that's right, it's the boss arena. A cutscene immediately plays and we're dumped in the room. So what can we do? Are we up a creek without a box-shaped paddle? No. You see, the physics system in this game, whilst rather cool, is not infallible. If you place 2 boxes in this configuration, squeeze into this gap, and pick up the box whilst trying to look through the door, you can get the box to clip through it into the arena. So now, we have a box, and a rather grumpy lady to use it on. I mean, what can she do? It's not as if she can explode. We at least have a box. It is still unbreakable and can protect us, so we should be able to get some hits in and take her out. Until she uses one of her disgusting, horrific augments on us. This could take some time. And take some time it does. I die repeatedly, taking every inch I can, right up until I remember this is the director's cut. There is another way. You see, in the original release, this is all we have to work with. A box, and a rather grumpy Georgian lady hell-bent on blowing me to bits. And likely the boss fight would take a couple of hours just with how little damage the box does. But on this version, there's a new upstairs section of the arena. Now we still want to bring the box with us as portable cover, but we can release the gas valves to deal some damage to her. Then, after she runs up, use our comfort cube as body armour to negate her typhoon shots. And when she buggers off back downstairs like a grumpy teenager, give her the gas again. Run, box, gas, repeat. Right up until the overhead turret turns on, and turns Jensen into Swiss cheese. Let's try again. Eventually, the flatulence is just too much, and she falters. The Claudia Winkleman lookalike lets us know that a doctor called Sandoval removed the tracking implants from the Sarif employees back at the hostile takeover at the beginning of the game. He works for a chap called Bill Taggart, who strongly opposes Sarif and Augments in general. The conspiracies are starting to layer up, but instead of telling you about the rather interesting plot, it's time to meet up with Flygirl and head home to Detroit. The proverbial has in fact hit the fan, and now there were riots everywhere. Yep, sounds like a Tuesday in Detroit. Sarif is sat in our gaff spouting about how Taggart is telling the world that Sarif's making super soldiers.
Picus is telling everyone we're breeding super soldiers.
Well, that's not entirely untrue, is it, David? Still, the game is afoot, and we need to go to the convention centre to investigate. It's around now that randomly our retinal implants start to freak out and stop working. Maybe it'll just break and I can pretend that I'm no more than human. Pritchard comes over the comms, some details about acquaintances forgotten.
Looks like our boss was being chatty with a private detective named Brent Radford. He lives on Earl's Court, in case you want to get chatty with him too.
Radford, a PI that Sarif hired to look into Jensen's past, has shown up. So let's stroll on over and have a natter with a chap. Upon arriving, he isn't alone.
I just had the floors waxed. And if you wouldn't mind tidying up a little.
If you don't shut up, I'm gonna put another bullet in you.
Yeah.
So, after a barrel of laughs,
I've got you.
there's a rather beat up Brent Radford. You He's bleeding out and in pain. Grab the first aid kit and administer some pain suppressants. And he'll talk, letting us into our past and our guardian angel. More leads to follow up on. There's a storage unit with all the details we need to look into. But Brent's on the precipice of the abyss and asks us one favour. If we got him to a doctor now, he'd be a paraplegic. And he doesn't want that. Or he could get suited up with augments to live as a machine. He doesn't want that. He wants release.
You need a doctor. They can fix that.
I ain't turning into no freak. Even if I could afford the surgery, the augments, I'd rather die than be half a machine. And I sure as hell ain't gonna live the rest of my life in a wheelchair, shitting in a goddamn diaper.
Radford.
Listen, I know there's still a few more morphine shots. Another 2 should do the trick. Please, this is as close as I'm gonna get to begging you. Don't leave me like this. You owe me that much.
It'll be quick.
I know. You did a good thing. Here.
The ones that did this. I'll find them.
Look at you. An iron giant with a heart of gold. But don't do it for me. Do it for her. For Michelle. You owe her your life.
His storage lockers crawling with glowers, all with guns, and we have barrels. This could end quite poorly. However, as chucking a barrel at someone's face isn't immediately recognised as a crime by the local plods, we can in fact barrel blast one of them, hide, and let the boys in blue get their hands dirty with the brutality. There's a single straggler left, but nothing a cylindrical concussion can't correct. And after going through everything on his computer, we have another house visit to make. Michelle Wolfers, a dear sweet old lady whose marbles are starting to leave her. And after this conversation, one containing details of Adam's past, Adam to be the first human of some kind that has the potential to... I wonder if that's some sort of heavy-handed reference or allegory to something. Nah. Anyway, after getting the lowdown, we have another side mission crossed off. Now we need to head to the convention centre to beat Taggart in a freestyle slam poetry battle. More eye twingers? These augments are really starting to play up. Maybe I can get them removed later. The strat is to make Sandoval out to be a bandit, but don't throw too much shade on Taggart, and keep redirecting the conversation back to the missing 5 scientists.
Mr. Jensen, I'll see you backstage.
Now head backstage and get some more details on his aide, who, as it turns out, happens to have a relative we know quite well. Zeke just so happens to be his brother. So maybe he isn't quite as innocent as you thought, Taggart. Still, it's time to dash off to Isaiah Sandoval's swanky digs. But just before we do, an ex-SWAT friend pulls up. There's a potential bomb threat.
Where's the bomb squad?
We need to find out where he's hidden said device and neutralise it.
Where's the bomb squad?
I'm coming! Blimey. And equipped with our trusty terrorist neutralisation device, we can head forth to the sewers. And oh look! The place is now electrified, covered in exploding mines and gun turrets. Where on earth did this shady fellow get a hold of them? But here's our old chum Jacob, and he's packing Vulcan Raven sidearm, which means we perish in precisely the time it takes to drop a piece of toast. However large his small arms may be, it's nothing that can stand up to the might of repeatedly boxing him. Then it's a case of disarming the bomb itself.
Where's the bomb squad?
Shut up! Do we cut the green wire or the blue wire? I don't know. You know what? I bet he nicked this thing and it's still on default settings. What's the worst that could happen? And of course that worked. Back to the concerned plot, and now we actually go to Sandoval's place of residence. It turns out that his brother's keeping watch over the place, who is, of course, armed. Bringing our emotional support barrel with us, we need to get him out of the way. Distract him with a fire extinguisher, like this. Move these boxes out of the way and we could really do with breaking through this wall. It's a better stealth entry point to the hideout than the normal way. So in the words of a drunk Freddie Mercury, I want to break through. Now in the sewers there are some humanity first chaps milling about, but we can pull a pro gamer move and crouch walk through the lasers like this. And from there straight into Sandoval's secret hidden underground sewer bunker place. After finding him, he is rather distressed with the revelation that Taggart knows of his involvement with the attack, and he wants to go hunting with a revolver with a single bullet. But after a bit of top-tier negotiation from Adam, he decides to leave his ticket to the pearly gates unpunched.
You've assigned me a task I cannot refuse. Take the gun. You win.
And after sneaking back out, we can head to the helipad that Jensen obviously has on his building, get picked up by best girl Malik, jet off to Seraph HQ, and we can meet Hugh Darrow, the man behind all of the augmentation, the man who caused me to be like this, the cause of me losing my humanity. Darrow is a cool, calm and collected fellow, and yet hideously untrustworthy. I can't trust a man who unironically wears a front cape. We need to go back to Hengsha. After informing Pritchard that the tracking implants on all of the Seraph scientists were not removed, just the frequencies changed, we have a lead. Flygirl takes us over the border, but it's a trap.
What the hell? We've got a sandlock on our tail. Jensen, all systems are down. Hang on, we're going in hard. Stop, Jensen!
Crash landing in a shipping yard. Surrounded. It's a tricky situation, and it's one where Malik will die unless we save her. Which is, of course, what we do. We have an opposing force of 2 heavy weapons dudes, 2 snipers, 4 regular grunts, and a box guard. The area behind the chopper's littered with barrels. We even have some explosive barrels to take them all out easily.
Oh, you thought this was easy, did you?
Except the explosive barrels don't even take out the heavy weapons guys with a single blast, and they just keep laying fire into the ship. We also only get 38 seconds to save her. 38 seconds to run through and take everyone out to save her.
Hey, Jensen.
Malik, you hurt?
I think you're on your own now.
Farida.
Give them hell for me.
It's tight, but if we can take a couple of them out, draw aggro, maybe we can barrel through the rest. But no, the failure's mounted up, it just isn't feasible. How about, as an experiment, let's just try on the easiest difficulty. But even with the reduced damage to us, we just can't sustain the output to take everyone out before it's too late. I kept trying for over an hour. Now I wouldn't mind this taking however long it would need to work. It's just I can't see a solution to save her. There isn't enough time, and the sustained damage from the heavies and box guard is too much to overcome with our tools. It's a lost cause. We'll have to let her go. I can justify it by not needing to save her to progress, but it does sting. So follow her lead and let Malik become the sacrificial lamb so we can continue on with the mission.
Go to hell.
Back in Hengsha, again our eyeballs decide to reboot. Useful. Upon arrival, we get a message from Hugh Darrow. It's time for some corporate warfare. Meet this lass on a roof and she instructs us to go knock out some thugs and get a chip. That's not going to go well. There's multiple of them hanging around here in the drainage ditch, and there's precisely 0 way to knock them out. Killing even one of them leads to a failed mission. So that's it. Our clean streak of mission completions is over. Fortunately, it's only a side mission, which means that so far, the challenge is still intact. The next side mission, Talion AD, is up next. This fellow, Dr. Wing, informs us of a dangerous contingent of augmented super soldiers that have gone rogue. Let's see what all this is about, and after having a butcher's, it turns out they're in the one place that no law enforcement ever looks, but all the criminals are always hiding: the sewers. Zelazny is the leader, and instead of jumping straight into a fight, he talks. After letting us know of his plight of being forcibly augmented and sent off on Black Ops with their memory being repeatedly wiped, they want revenge on the corrupt officials that sent them out to do a no Russian.
This is called a neuralizer. I am just a figment of your imagination. No Russian. This is called a figment of your imagination. Russian. This imagination. This.
Yeah, let's leave them be. That kinda seems legit. Report back to Wing and he might even join their ranks. We get summoned to the Limb Clinic to get an update on our augments to stop them turning off. Let's ignore that. It's not like he used them anyway. The Sarif GPL tracker is pinging up here, near the Harvester hideout. That's odd. So after some hilarious sneaking through the front door in front of 7 repo men, we can follow the signal downstairs. Some stealthing, duck walking and Harvester avoiding later, and well, who do we have here? Not Sevchenko, but Tong, who's now sporting a Sarif branded arm. It appears that Sevchenko has been harvested, but as is always the way with Tong, he won't help us find him, unless we help him first. An old noodle factory crawling with bell tower soldiers, and Tong's grumpy teenage son. This area has a few different ways to go about infiltration, but this is the way that I did it. Head across the gantry and use a portable Jensen hiding device to keep out of the eye line of the patrolman. Drop off and hide at the back of the room here. When the cycles line up, head through the door and bring a wooden storage crate with you. Now we have to take out the cameras, but with the security terminal being watched quite closely, we need a plan. The box? Yeah, the box. Whilst the squaddy is checking out the loud wooden container slamming against the wall up ahead, use the terrible password, open the doors and shut off all the cameras. Wait behind the door and head past as soon as he enters the room again. Into the cell, and after some snark from the Zoomer,
"You Tom's kid."
So my mother keeps telling me. But you are neither bell tower nor Chinese. Am I to assume my honored father is covering his back by sending you in to spring me instead of his harvesters?
Wise assumption. Let's get out of here.
He runs off with Otcon's stealth camo. Now we have the more difficult issue of re-stealthing through the noodle factory backwards, which repeatedly ends poorly right up until you reintroduce the majesty of the box back into your life. And as soon as you get to the first pillar underneath the gantry, we're home free. Head back to Tong. He gifts us with a new gun that can stay on the floor. Now to find our missing mates. We need to stow away aboard a bell tower ship and head to Singapore. Sounds pretty easy. It's just a case of sneaking into a private military base, hiding on board a ship after setting off some explosions. I mean, their guard routines are elementary. Only a fool would get repeatedly discovered. But I am getting ahead of myself. How are we even meant to get in? We can find the password tucked under the keyboard and open the gate, but it's permanently watched. And this side is blocked off by a box that is too heavy for us to pick up, even though we can launch a box half its size 40 meters into the air. Because game logic. Remember what I said about physics objects being impervious to all damage when they don't have a health bar? Well, this box may be firm, but it isn't unbreakable. We'll only be able to use what's in this area as we pass through a load zone. Fortunately, hidden behind these shipping containers are 2 boxes, both of the firm variety. So let's see what happens when an immovable object meets a madman with a pair of boxes. You can see it does damage it, but it's not quite enough to break it. Let's try again. Maybe we can get the physics system to just let us win? Now, whilst this is going on, I can hear you naysayers. Don't think that I can't. You're pointing and laughing at my boxploitation. You're sat there laughing at me that I could have in fact just made a big tower and climbed up. Well, to you I say, it doesn't work, so there. Well, it is a clever idea, one I wish I'd come up with at the time rather than when I'm sat here alone in a windy garage writing the script out for this enormous video. But still, on with the hijinks. After a couple of tries, we do in fact manage to break through the bigger, badder box. It lures one of the Big Ben boys towards us, now letting us onto the boat. We need to get to this central porter cabin type thing, and of course there are big wide open sightlines that get us repeatedly spotted. The underpath doesn't seem to cut it either, as I can't find a way to turn the gas off, and running through leads to a prompt lights out. Instead, head all the way around the outside of the upper deck into the security office and turn the cameras off, hopping railings as needed to enter the central room. And, hello? Are you alright? Well, if you're not going to say anything, I won't. Now we have Tong's package, we can head back to the security office we were in earlier, through to the warehouse and use the thigh-high walls to our advantage and drop down. All we need to do now is drop off the suspicious package that Tong won't tell us anything about. And I mean, it's not as if it's going to do anything sinister, is it? He's a gang leader that thrives on cloak and dagger skullduggery and double-crossing. It's a bomb, isn't it?
Shit.
And it explodes. So, after getting into the pod, it's time for Singapore.
Mission status unrecognized. Running sequential data. Upload missing link confirmed. DLC in operation.
The blast that knocked us out, now in the Rifleman Bank station, and we're in a spot of bother.
This situation, I find it very nostalgic.
This section of game is designed for us, and by that I mean it takes away all of your equipment and all of your augmentation upgrades, so it should be a piece of cake considering it's designed specifically for our restriction set. Well, yes, but actually, no. You see, although we start out as a cold, alone and naked biblical stand-in, that's not supposed to be how we finish the section, where we should be tooled up to the gills with plenty of armaments. But first, Olga Natanya Keitner is keeping an eye on us, but after everyone leaves our very small cell, inextricably we're released. Time for shenanigans. And by shenanigans, what I really mean is shunt boxes around, then follow all vents possible and generally stealth about the place in the developer intended fashion. Yeah, the opening is about as standard as you can imagine. In fact, following through to the end of the whole tanker section is all relatively self-explanatory. The fun truly starts once we manage to swipe our coat. Just remember to polish off this very quick side mission and save this poor lass from her cryopod turning off. One thing that has been a repeated issue throughout this whole facility is that there aren't any impenetrable boxes, crates or bins. Nothing we can use as a shield. Everything is kind of fragile. Now in the Sallyport, we're off the tanker and into Rifleman Bank Station proper. This is where everything becomes clear as mud. After heading through the loading bays, we can rendezvous with none other than Olga Natanya Keitner. Turns out she runs this base, but the other chap who was aiding with the beatings earlier, Peter Burke, is actually the muscle who tries to run everything, and he's been trying to do some sort of hostile takeover to increase the opacity once more. Natanya is also apparently on our side and is a double agent who's trying to take the scientific experiments going on here down. So, our job is to head further down into the belly of the beast and investigate. Get more info to potentially get Interpol involved. But first, we're sent off to find a guy called Garvin Quinn, who should be able to help us. And after coming across the Irishman, he sends us off on a wild goose chase to acquire rocket launcher parts. A rather useless endeavour, but alas. Also, as a thanks for rescuing the Jane Doe in the stasis pod, we get a 25% discount from his shop.
Tell you what, I'll give you a discount on me wares. Just no freebies or handouts.
Which we can't use. Brilliant! Regardless, after heading into this office via the code on the wall next to it, we can storm through the vents and head through. Again, the stealth system in this game is incredible. It's absolutely wild that the ski mask clad lad is unable to see me here. Now the plan from here is to go through the security checkpoint and... Side note, every time you pass through here, you need to pass this body scanner. And with the resets and save slots I used, I saw this animation a lot. After heading up the central pillar within the panopticon, it's fairly easy to push the button on the computer whilst the chap nearby remains clueless. Keitner sends us off on another quest to the interrogation wing. We need to wind our way upstairs. The biologically based foes aren't much of an issue, but the robots on the upper floor are a pain. Just keep following the rollerblading badnecks and allow them to let you through the laser grids. And when you're on the second floor with the spinning tops, stay out of the laser pointer and you'll be fine. Otherwise, they have a tendency to explode. We reach the research wing. Some scientists and Burke are here, and it's all mildly sinister. All the prisoners are being used for some sort of experiment. We need to get through this door, but as you can see, it's a biometrical lock. So how on earth can we get through? Conveniently, it turns out Burke has a spare eye in his office. So let's grab that and take it to Quinn. And that does mean stealthing all the way back through the prison again. But to make it a little easier, we can use a little trick. Remember me saying that the physics system is a little wonky? Repeatedly? Well, it turns out if you drop, let's say, this crate off a tall drop and walk onto it, you're stood on something during the ride, and you take precisely 0 fall damage. Result. That speeds up this section. Now it's a case of moving directly towards Burke's office to grab his spare peeper. But once through the bioscanner, we have a problem. This guard is a pain, especially as he repeatedly bugged out and refused to move, whilst looking down the corridor we're sat in. However, after restarting the game, he decides to peruse in a different position, letting us go up the rear and move through to the... there's another laser grid in the way. Fortunately, there is a door right here with a vent we can crawl through, letting us head upstairs and straight into his office to get the spare eye. Now we just need to get to Quinn, and... oh god, this small section was one of the trickiest bits of stealth in the whole game. The big problem is that I have to ghost it. If I'm spotted whilst I press the elevator button, I'd just get shot. So I need to get past this pair whilst they're always looking at the entirety of the room. But after an hour of attempts and 50 failures, this is the plan. So, there's 2 of them sat in the room, looking around and making it mostly impenetrable. We need some extra cover, firstly for when we're sneaking in, and secondly to hide when we press the button for the elevator. So, head out to the main hangar, grab one of the flimsy boxes and bring it back. Drop the box here for some extra cover and grab the fire extinguisher on the wall. Wait for them to finish their conversation and let the engineer carry on with his patrol route. When he walks off, throw the fire extinguisher down the corridor. Both of them should turn to investigate, giving a very slim chance to sneak past with the fragile quadrilateral in tow. I'm going to let this piece of stealth banditry play out in full, because I don't think you'd believe me otherwise.
Huh? What's that?
When you're hidden behind it on the opposite side of the room, press the elevator switch. Hop in and meet up with the Irishman. Nicely done.
This is pretty impressive work for a mechanic, Quinn.
What's that supposed to mean? There's more to old Quinn than meets the eye.
He jerry-rigs a power supply of a 9-volt battery and some gaffer tape to the eye, and we can be on our merry way. Except, that section that took an hour? Well, further down Quinn's corridor, there's a vent. And wouldn't you know, it brings me out upstairs without having to have done all that malarkey with the box and fire extinguisher. But instead of focusing on my incompetence, there's a door in the Black Ops science experiment gone wrong with Burke's name on it that we need to investigate. So head all the way through the facility, the prison, past the robots, into the corridor and through the creepy autopsy room. We take the elevator down to Rapture. Sorry, wrong game. Tiffany. She's also not best pleased with the lack of test subject heartbeats and thinks it's a bit naughty, so agrees to help us. We need to fire off in a shuttle to report all the details to Interpol. Fine by me. So let's head back up the long elevator. The lift has stopped. That's foreboding. Let's climb on up, and after leaving the shaft, we're greeted by a welcoming party. Let's slink on by. And oh dear, Natanya's in a spot of bother. It appears she's had some extra orifices added to her person. Burke, it seems, has clocked on that A, we are missing, B, Natanya has double-crossed him, and C, we're trying to blow the lid on the whole conspiracy. Oh bother. What's worse is he's enacted a scorched earth policy, meaning everyone except his men take 5 meat damage. The madman has released toxic gas that will kill everyone in the main facility. So we have a choice. Leave all the prisoners to perish like a petrol station tuna sandwich, but save Dr. Kavanagh, letting her blow the whistle on what happened. Or redirect the gas to the seafloor, killing Kavanagh but saving the prisoners. Neither of which sounds like a good idea. But on this coin flip of a choice, suppose we flip it enough times, and eventually it lands on its edge. There is a secret third option. We need to take out the gas distribution valve, and that'll save both the good doctor and all of the prisoners. So let's have at it. After trundling downstairs, we can head into a vent, and from here take out said valve. Sounds fine, right? Well, no, because the vent is of course covered by one of the oversized cousins of our best boxy buddy, and the place is now crawling with private military ruffians with an itchy trigger finger. There just isn't really the space in everyone's movement paths to let us break it without getting discovered and shot at. So let's roll back the clock to before we used our mate's eyeball and see what we can do. Aha! What a convenient exploding red barrel! I'm sure you'll do the trick quite nicely. Also, inside, we have no way to get up. It of course requires us to use the jumping augment, like this. Well, you can't take normal boxes through vents, they're just too big. However, these smaller ones on the central platform can fit, and I'm sure I can Tetris myself a tower and get up there with them. Success! We have a ladder ready to get into this room, and whilst we're at it, let's leave a box upstairs ready to surf down on later. Now push through and fast forward to where the lockdown happens. Sorry, that's a bit far. I didn't realise that was on this tape. So after box surfing our way downstairs, we can swan off into the small room and take out the valve, be branded a hero and... What? You can't just press the action button on it? We need to break it. This obviously wants us to shoot the thing, but well, we're rather light on small arms. I don't suppose that the devs made this object by giving it a single health point, did they? And I don't suppose that we could break the thing by throwing one of the small boxes we brought into the vent area. Surely this one tiny cardboard box won't be our saviour.
The toxicity level is dropping. You found a way to save everyone, brother.
Well, that is an outcome I did not expect. Now we just need to disengage the lockdown and take a stand against Burke. It's not quite that simple, however. The lockdown has been released, but there's still guards everywhere, the Typhoon robots all over the place, and it's difficult to get past them. But after painstakingly backtracking all the way to where Burke is, we have a problem of colossal proportions. In this room there are 2 snipers overhead, a heavy gunner, 2 squaddies and a box guard, as well as Burke himself. We do start out of sight, so maybe we can sneak up to him, and after some tenacity we get all the way past everyone onto the gantry and we can engage Burke. With nothing. We have nothing with us at all. This arena has a couple of boxes we might be able to use, but they aren't of the invincible variety. Still, if all we have to do is take out Burke, then maybe we have an out. So let's just test it and see what happens. Oh, the fight's still going, so we need to take out everyone. I don't think this is possible, it's just too many. All we can find in here is some flimsy wooden crates. Outside of the boss arena though, there are some other physics objects we can use. Namely, these large gas canisters and some exploding red barrels for good measure. It shouldn't take too long to get all of them together. Oh, you thought I was just going to glaze over that hour of pain and not let you in on some of the excruciating details? Well, These 3 loading bays have multiple objects, and every single time I have to move the explosive merchandise through one at a time, getting repeatedly caught out and having to go back. But one at a time, painfully, repetitively. I can feel my brains beginning to drool out of my ear hole, but still, we have 4 gas canisters and 2 exploding barrels. The barrels work, well, as expected, but the canisters explode into a big cloud of green noxious gas that kills anything. And yet still there's another issue. This door. You see, to start the boss fight, you need to interact with this door, and you automatically teleport to the opposite side of the wall, and are subjected to this wonderful bit of cutscene.
But look at the lengths you've gone to find one woman.
Turns out we can use the exact same trick we used before. Squeeze ourselves into a corner through the box, put the objects next to the door, pick them up and try to turn towards the door to glitch it through to the other side. And after a bit of shenanigans with that, everything's prepped. And now we're ready to watch this bit of cutscene again and again and again. Now we need a battle plan. First things first, we have to take out Burke, so let's bring a canister and sneak all the way to the other side of the map. After a few attempts, we can duck past the box bot, head through the shipping container, and to this ladder. Now we need to launch the canister up and hope it doesn't explode before climbing up. This bit is tricky. Once we open the door, he immediately shoots at us. Great. But if we open the door holding the canister, he'll shoot it. Then it explodes. We can then get out of the way and hopefully take him out. After a couple of failed attempts. This also has the side benefit of taking out the heavy above and the shotgun salesman downstairs, as they're both within the sphere of smells. And that's not all. The box droid is directly tied to Burke's pacemaker, meaning it kindly deactivates itself. And that leaves us with the pair of snipers and a ninja cosplayer downstairs. So let's slowly work our way back to where all of our explosive equipment is. And now, with the canister in hand, there's another slight problem. You see, it will not explode on impact with any of the Men in Black's robotic noggins. I discovered that trying to dome Burke with the thing. However, it does explode on impact when you throw it at a box, for some reason. And there are a couple of wooden crates lying about the place. So, throw one nearby to a member of the opposition, and when he investigates, give him a gassy surprise. 4 down, 2 to go. And these snipers can be a pain. We can't climb up to meet them. That just ends poorly. However, the canister does explode on impact, eventually, and it works through walls, so I have an idea. Let's throw the putrid pressurised package at the provocateur pathway repeatedly until the impact implodes into a plethora of perishment. I can't believe that worked. That was a ridiculous idea, and it performed perfectly. Next up, same again.
It sounds like your struggles are almost over, Bratan. Is Burke dead?
I'm standing, he's not. Let's just leave it at that.
Burke and the gang are dealt with, and Nightmare is over. After meeting up with the Irishman, who turns out to be potentially Russian, maybe? I don't know. It's all too complicated for my little chimp brain.
Bratan.
Quinn?
I'm afraid our good friend Quinn met with an unfortunate incident.
Your voice. It was you this whole time.
Don't worry, mate. It'll be grand. Besides, I thought you Americans liked riding off into the sunset.
We get slapped on the backside and sent off to Singapore. So, our goal, should we choose to carry on playing, is to turn off a signal jammer. Then explore and find all 3 of the missing scientists. Seems fairly simple. Well, it is. Mostly. Sort of. There are 2 moments that are distinctly a pain in the backside, and the first one occurs here at our initial goal of turning off the signal jammer. You see, the jammer's relatively easy to get into. Climb up and shut it all down. Move this box and play peekaboo with the bloke in red, nip up and switch it off. It's that escaping is a nuisance. The meandering gunman can see through the fence, and there's a bunch of them, making it a pain to leave and get back to safety. So, let's just hoof it instead. Now it's a case of follow the spots on the minimap and have a chat to each scientist. The man with a beard that looks like it was rendered on a Nintendo 64's pretty easy to find. Straight shot without any issues. The next one's quite a bit more difficult. When we first show up, it's time for the changeover of the guard, and the screw heads down the corridor and sits on a chair facing the entirety of it. Fabulous. The camera overhead also makes some ideas a little trickier, but after some theocrafting, this is the solution I found. Turn around and head into the office at the opposite end of the corridor. There's a box waiting for us. Now he will eventually get up off his backside and patrol the corridor. This is our opportunity. Wait and hide behind the box until he turns away, and push forwards towards the CCTV camera, pop the box down and settle into your little hidey hole. When he again patrols past, you can head past with the box, leave it by the chair and again, wait for him to shove off before entering. Give the grumpy lady a bit of a dressing down and now it's time to head towards the last scientist we can. Nip upstairs and again, we have a camera, lasers and a genome soldier in the way. But when everything lines up, you can tailgate him through the lasers and head in for a little chat. Now all three are aware of the plan, we need to run off elsewhere in the facility and upload a virus to the security computer. So let's get going. And after getting back outside, there's a bunch of boxes littering the robot patrolled area. Look at them, note where they are. We will need all of them. So, ferry all of them one at a time past the Roomba and the surveillance camera. And when all four of them are ready, set off the virus. Now load them into the lift. When it opens, launch them over into the room proper before walking in and entering Gunther Van Hagen's Body Worlds exhibit. Jason Namir is in the way, and it's boss fight time. And this one is a doozy. You see, you can't just hide behind a box from him. He pelts us with plasma that actually hits through it, and well, our tactics up until now end like this. But what we can do is move to the opposite side of this bit of glass from him. He'll jump over and try to greet us. Now brain him with a box, and move to the other side. Grab a box, let him jump over again. Rinse and repeat. It sounds simple, but it's really easy to end up out of phase, and this boss fight is long and grueling. But after some practice and patience, eventually, Namir is no more. In the next room, the lady of the hour's here, Megan, and she's in some fancy digs for a lass who's been kidnapped against her will. But before we can get to that, Hugh Darrow decides to show the world the power of augmentation.
After careful deliberation, I've decided I must do exactly that. Forgive me.
And it looks a little bleak. The arrogance of a man to bring something into this world and then maliciously use it against its people. We have a job to do. We need to head over to Panchea, and to do that, we need to get on the shuttle. Everyone has been driven mad. Insanity is pervasive, like ants crawling over their skin. Now, I was going to try and write something quite dark in regards to the state that Darrow's action has left everyone who's augmented. Have it be all artsy-fartsy and whatnot. But well, I don't know if even I could keep that up whilst looking at these goobers looking at me like they've had a trouser accident. Hop onto the shuttle, and after the short trip, we're in the middle of a frozen wasteland. After finding a tunnel to the depths of the facility, we're greeted with a mixture of cold water, electricity, and proximity mines. A wonderful concoction. The mines can be dealt with by launching the box down the corridor, and by carefully manoeuvring said box, we can head all the way through the high voltage waterways. This gives us access to the vent to turn the current off. Then follow the hallways to go down an elevator, bringing some boxes with us for good luck. It's a grim sight. Bodies strewn everywhere, but we have a job to do. Continuing to lob boxes throughout the whole facility, and finally, face to face with Darrow himself. After all this big talk, it turns out his plan is to make everyone with augments pull a Kingsman because he now feels bad about inventing augments in the first place. Well, you should have thought about that when you made them in the first place, chap. The toothpaste isn't going back in the tube. But what will shaft you instead is a boxing duel to the death. Queensberry rules apply. And that was a little anticlimactic. Let's leave him here and push forwards. Wait, what are you doing, Stepbox? Our objective has changed somewhat. There are legally distinct zombies running about the place, and we have to find both our gaffer and Bill Taggart. The stumbling drunks can cause a problem and will relentlessly chase you. Not an issue if you can kite them around something, but thin hallways are a struggle. In this first encounter, do not try to drag them to a more open area. There isn't one. And when you get hit by them, the hit stop is immense and you stop moving, making it much easier to get clipped by follow-up attacks leading into a death spiral. Another idea I had was leading them into the path of gun turrets. They do precisely zilch, and will only shoot at us. Brilliant. Instead, however, run Jensen, run. And when you get clipped by their flailing limbs, jump away. You move slightly faster that way. Come on. Almost there. Come on. Come on. After hopping into the lift and going down, there's another area. Flooded with the not yet dead undead. Slip into a grate to evade them all for now. Then bolt for it. Run through the corridor and over this office. Once we break into the outside area, this is where some of the difficulties start. We have this large complex of winding corridors, multiple levels, and a horde of Black Friday shoppers begging to get to us. One wrong move and we get swarmed by paparazzi like a celebrity who's just been sent to rehab. We have a few ways of getting around, but what seemed the most sane way of navigating this maze of metal was to box hop off the side and just bypass everything. Heading through the corridor, it's a little worrying that there's a heavy rifle just sat there, taunting us. But through the door, a bundle of blokes and a narrow walkway. Brilliant. After a couple of attempts, try 6. We get over mostly unscathed. But well, as it turns out, this next lift takes us to an area with no way back. Let's backtrack and find the pair of squabbling children that we need to. Downstairs in this lift there's this separate area. A bit of a pain, but nothing that can't be stealthed past initially. This area requires approach with a little more legwork. Dash through all the brigands and head up these side stairs and jump over the strewn metal rods to get out of the way of the chasers. When they eventually get grumpy and leave, go back down the stairs. Sneak as well as you can past them, disable all the mines, and we're good to enter the next room containing Sarif. Except, well, the door's blocked by overly heavy boxes. There are no other routes into the room. We're stuck. I had an idea. Because the heavy physics objects are moved by things like opening a vent, maybe I can squeeze a box through and that will do something? Much to my disbelief, this happened. My maniacal laughter continues for approximately 47 seconds. Sarif gives us a plan to blame the madness on Taggart, so he can carry on making augmentations. And now we need to head back outside to this mass of men. After leading them around like a Benny Hill sketch, we dash past and into this computer room. And this room is a bit of a problem. The wild animals inside can often nip at your ankles once you're up at the server racks. If you jump from one to another, you can then head through the door. And have a smashing time with this box and the side of the adjacent office. Taggart is here and has a less cruel plan. When we get to broadcast out and tell the world what happened here, he just wants us to say, Augments are alright, but regulator Mike? Slightly more fair than Sarif's idea. Both side objectives done. Now let's go back through the outside gauntlet of Harlem Shake interpretive dancers and ready up in the corridor before the walkway. After heading again through the melee and going down this service elevator, we have a problem. It immediately spits us out directly behind the door to the next boss. The final one. There are no boxes in this corridor or in the room, and we need at least 2. And where are the only boxes we can bring? Yeah, that's right, in the middle of all this madness. So we need to venture out and grab boxes to bring over. The first one you can grab like this, head to the centre next to the forklift, get on top of the forklift, grab a box under you, and throw it at the red barrel to punch a hole through. On your way past, bring the box. Nicely done. The second is a bit trickier, as the inhabitants have already been riled up, but the slick solution is brute force it, run for a box and hope for the best. Yeah, Nothing quite so clever, just pray to the box gods and hope you get through. But do be careful as you get in the boxes onto the lift. Do not try to almost have a major incident by dropping one of them off. No! Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's really bad. What do I do? Oh. Oh. Okay, gently. Gently. Oh, okay. Jeez. Oh. Use the box trick from earlier to get one of the crates through the door. And now the final boss. The high-end project itself. This time womaned by Zhao. See, Jensen? This is what happens when Jensen's Johnson gets in the way. The boss, as flashy as it is in all of its squid-like glory, is fairly easy. We got the code off Darrow earlier to turn this thing off. Then head forwards and box the window until it shatters. Stand on top of the box when the electric currents start up. Then keep on boxing Zhao until pop goes the weasel. And here we are, the final room. We now have the choice of which truth the world will remember. Sareth's vision of a world where the Humanity First activists are vilified for attempting to kill the masses. Taggart's truth of a tainted set of neuroprosine leading to tighter regulations. Darrow's truth of revealing everything that went down. Let society make its choice whilst informed. Or bury the place, shut it off and send everyone here down with the ship. Jensen, you're the man broken by augmentation against your will. I am just a faulty narrator. So, Jensen, what do you choose? Deus Ex, Human Revolution Without Icons, or Augments, is complete. We managed to get almost everything done. Just a couple of side missions proved to not be possible. It was a long journey, but before we get to the tier list, I need to thank the Patreons and the channel members for making this possible. Aaron, King Emo Cut, Undercover, Richard Price, and Havoc. If you'd like to support me for the future, click the link in the description. And now where does it rank? But first, some housekeeping. Yeah, that's better. This was difficult. There were a lot of odd and esoteric bits of knowledge required, and some of the boss encounters were really quite difficult. Some of the stealth was tricky, but I think overall it ranks in Hurt Me Plenty. And with that, see you in the next one, and good night.